2015 Maxis FIM Enduro World Championship moves on to Greece for the fourth round of the campaign and the sixth staging of the Grand Prix of Greece in the northern border region, Ceres. Its ancient city thrives on the side of rich agricultural land, the base of the many local motorsport fans. Home riders are unlikely to challenge the elite of the series, but knowledgeable Greek Enduro supporters will nonetheless look for their heroes among the top performers from the opening rounds. The 76 competitors faced unique conditions for the super test in Greece, with a 15-minute rain shower, the precursor to an otherwise sweltering afternoon's competition. Loic Larieux survived the heat and pressure from fellow countryman Antoine Mayo by less than half a second to take the fastest overall time and the lead in E2. Marc Bourgeois took the fastest time and the 9-second victory bonus in E1 ahead of Lorenzo Santolino, and Jonathan Barragan went fastest in E3. But the biggest story of the day was the retirement of Matthew Phillips. His machine failure left him starting the first full day of competition with a 40-second time penalty. The riders were set to trek northeast of the city of Ceres into Parkland for the opening Enduro test, back in the direction of the city for the 1.6-kilometre extreme test, making a near complete loop in the outlying scrublands.
We're going to try and win the first test, and we're going to try and win the last test, and that's all we can do. And you know, it's important to finish the race in the best position as possible for the championship. And yeah, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting day.
A total of 4 laps on stage 1, plus the previous day's super test, would determine the point scoring over the 40-kilometre course. 7th in the championship coming into Greece, Simone Albergoni put in a second top 5 performance of the season after recovering from an early 8th position in the second half of the day. A good performance on the Enduro test on lap 3 moved the Italian up to 6th, and he eventually inherited another position as Anthony Bassière faded through the day. Lorenzo Santolino gradually dropped back from the podium pace after a strong start to the opening lap. The Spaniard, 4th in the world after a first podium finish of the year last time out in Portugal, eventually finished almost a minute back from 3rd place. Marc Bourgeois made a return to form in Greece after 2 poor performances in Portugal, returning to the podium for a second time in 2015. The French rider missed out on second by the smallest possible margin after holding the position for much of the day. The gap had been bridged by lap 3 as the advantage the Frenchman opened in the super test was gradually eroded away. Christophe Nambertin hadn't been out of the top 2 all season coming into Greece, but got as close as possible to losing out on that run. An identical time to Marc Bourgeois, the first time a position has been decided by less than 1/100th of a second in the World Championship, eventually favouring Nambertin for second, but it was an unconvincing performance with just 2 fastest times all day as he recovered from a fall in the super test. Eero Remes took his 3rd win of the 2015 season with a dominant performance, taking fastest times in 9 of the 13 tests. The leader from as early as the 2nd test, Remes controlled the stage, opening up a near 40-second lead by the end of the day. Victory for the Finn closed the gap by 3 points to just 7 at the top of the title race. Tony McCanny slipped to his worst performance of the year in 7th, while Anthony Boissière made a successful comeback from injury in 6th.
Day was really good for me. Like I can ride relax all the day, and nothing mistake. Just riding all the time, hit the line, and really good day for me.
And from manufacturers, we kindly ask Mr. Luca Cherubini.
Jaume Petri, who held fourth position throughout the opening 2 laps, but was eventually overhauled and had to settle for fifth. The third occasion on which the Spaniard has taken the same position this year. Loic Clarieux put in his best performance of the season in fourth, with the advantage of a first position result in the Super Test and particularly impressive times on the Extreme Tests. The Frenchman recovered from 8th position part way around the opening lap, but finished almost a minute from the podium pace. Alex Salvini finished just 20 seconds short of a second victory in 2015 and ended the day with the fastest time on the final cross test. Never outside of the top 5 times all day, Salvini's consistency kept him in the hunt, but his 2 rivals ahead never put a foot wrong. Antoine Mayo was defeated for only the second time all season and by just 13 seconds after he took the fastest times in 4 of the closing 6 special tests. The Frenchman had started the day slowly and had to fight back from 3rd on lap 3. Pierre-Alexandre Renet took his first victory of 2015 after opening an early gap to his rivals. Yet to finish off the podium this year, the defending E2 champion was fastest in 5 of the first 6 tests and managed his advantage to the finish. An error on the last Extreme Test cost him 7 seconds to Mayo behind, but it wasn't enough for him to give up the 20 championship points. 3 different manufacturers in the top 4 positions, but a familiar feel to the standings with 3 Frenchmen in the top 4 places. I'm really happy to finally win one. I've been close to winning on a couple of occasions, but unfortunately a fall in the penultimate special cost me the win each time. I finally have it now, so I'm really happy.
Enfin là, je l'ai, donc vraiment super content.
Matti Sestila came into Greece just 4 points behind the championship lead, but a fall in the second Enduro test threatened to derail his title bid. Sestila held first position after the opening lap, but a finger injury restricted his performance for the remainder of the day, and he finished just 6th. Thomas Oldrati was the rider to take advantage, the Italian taking his second consecutive top 5 finish, and he saved his best to the final lap, moving up from 7th. Luis Correa took 4th, matching his best performance of the season as he missed out on the podium by less than 2 seconds. The Portuguese rider lost 17 seconds to the leader on the opening lap, and that remained the margin between 1st and 4th at the finish. Following his day 1 penalty, Matthew Phillips had to put in a stunning ride to make the podium. The Australian was fastest in 7 of the tests, overhauling Luis Correa in the very last of the Extreme Tests for 3rd. To finish just 16 seconds back from the winner after such a handicap shows Phillips is back on form. Agar Leok took 2nd. The Estonian, fastest as ever through the cross tests, backed up those results with strong times elsewhere in the lap. Leok gained on the final 2 laps, but had too much ground to recover following his lap 2 struggles on the Extreme Test, and he missed out on a first victory of the season. Mattia Bellino wasn't fastest through any of the tests, but took his 4th win of the season through sheer consistency. The French rider saw rivals Leok and Phillips drop time early during the weekend and managed a narrowing margin to the finish. With Sestila struggling, the victory was a perfect result in the context of Bellino's championship challenge. Jonathan Barragan was back in the points after missing out in Portugal. Meanwhile, Matti Sestela's mere 6th position could prove costly for him. I did good work today. Every point is important in E3 since the category is so closely fought. I managed to take advantage of mistakes from my closest rivals, Matthew in the super test and then Sestela out on the course. Winning today is good for my morale and for the championship as well.
Stelios Korelis from Greek Varna.
Steve Holcomb continued his rapid progress in the Junior Championship to 4th overall after victory on Stage 1 in Greece. The British rider beat his fellow countryman Jamie McCanny by half a minute. But on take 2, McCanny extended his 16-point championship lead with win number 4. Holcomb having dropped over 40 seconds in the first test and unable to make back up the ground. In the absence of injured Spaniard Josep Garcia, Mikael Persson had to win both stages to close the Youth Championship deficit. The Swede duly did so, with no clear rival on either day. His Day 1 victory margin was almost 2 minutes, and his Day 2 advantage was over 4. One notable name missing from the paddock in Greece was Ivan Cervantes, who's finally gone under the knife.
He is not racing here, and probably he will not race neither the other races, maybe in France, the last round, because he got the surgery 2 days ago, the crossing ligament, and yeah, it was, the operation went good, and he will be back as soon as possible, but not earlier than 3 months and a half.
Despite the recent news of the withdrawal of factory support, gas runners continue to compete in Greece.
Yeah, now the structure is half part of the beginning of the season. Now only 2 riders, Jordan Barragan from Spain and Diogo Enduro from Portugal. And well, we need to lose 2 riders to keep in the championship, and it's difficult the situation here.
Two minutes back from the eventual winner, Cristobal Guerrero was involved in his own battle for another top 5 finish. The Spaniard eventually finished 4 seconds clear of Simone Albigoni for 5th. Lorenzo Santolino held his own 4-second margin over Guerrero, almost losing 4th place to his fellow countryman after a fall in the final cross test cost him a 20-second buffer. The Spaniard had been pushing hard in pursuit of the final podium place. That was taken instead by Danny McCanny, the British rider holding on despite ceding ground on lap 4. The Husqvarna rider was never really in touch for the top 2 positions and eventually finished almost 50 seconds back from 2nd place. Christophe Nambertin rode fastest through 5 of the stage's 12 tests, but a series of errors around the 2nd lap cost him victory. The halfway mark, the reigning champion had a 30-second margin to recover. He finished 34 seconds back on a day when he had to accept 2nd best. Eero Remes made it 2 wins in 3, with 7 fastest times, and narrowed the championship deficit to just 4. A double win for the Finn, who hardly looked like a contender to Nambertin in Chile or Spain at the start of the season, means the championship is now a 2-horse race, as the E1 category passed the halfway mark. With 4 different nationalities in the top 4 positions, Eero Remes makes it 2 from 2, with Marc Bourgeois subdued in 9th.
Yeah, now it looks quite good. Like whole weekend was so good for me, and also riding very well both days. And today I make two or three small mistakes, but I don't lose not so much time there, so it's good.
The championship race seems to have split in 2 for the E1 category. 2 riders separated by 4 points out front and a separate battle for third. After a slow start to stage 2, Jaume Betriu slotted back into 5th place for the 5th time this season. The Spanish rider sat initially behind fellow countryman Victor Guerrero, but his rival slipped back to 9th as the day went on. Loic Larieux put in a repeat of his stage 1 performance to match his best result of the season in 4th. The French rider never looked like a podium challenger though, and finished over 2 minutes back from the leaders. The top 3 in Enduro 2 have formed a breakaway from the pack in every event this year. But often it's been Salvini looking in from close proximity to the 2 French challengers in front. On stage 2 in Greece, he finished 30 seconds back from a closely fought battle for first. Antoine Meillot was fastest in each of the lap 1 tests and 4 of the last 5, but lost his way on the second lap and failed to close the gap in time, finishing just over 2 seconds in arrears in second. Less than 14 seconds separated first from third after 2 laps on stage 2, but Pierre-Alexandre René held on to his advantage from the midway stage to win the E2 category. Pressure was on right to the finish. As he dropped 8 seconds through the last cross test, he held on for another valuable 20 points. Niccolo Mori enjoyed his best result of the season in 6th, while Oriol Mena suffered his worst of the campaign. The last lap was really tight. I had some problems with the water on the course. My bike didn't really like it. But a second consecutive win is really good for the championship. I take back some points, and that feels good. Pierre-Alexandre René has the momentum on his side, close 6 points in Greece. Now sits only 13 in arrears. Pierre-Alexandre René. Luis Carrère recorded a 4th consecutive double-figure score, overhauling Manuel Moni for 6th, when the Italian hit problems on lap 2. The Portuguese rider finished over a minute back from the leaders. Thomas Oltrati had a particularly strong last lap and was fastest through the final Enduro test, but still finished 7 seconds short of the podium. The Italian nonetheless posted his best finish of the year. In the challenging E3 class, inconsistency is punished severely, and after his stage 1 heroics, Matthew Phillips never found the rhythm on stage 2. The Australian struggles through the extreme test, left him playing catch-up for much of the afternoon, and caused him to miss out on second as well. Egar Liok finished runner-up after he dropped time through each of the Enduro tests. The Estonian assumed his traditional position, fastest through 2 of the day's 4 cross tests, and the lack of performance elsewhere left him 30 seconds in arrears at the end of the weekend. Mattia Bellino enjoyed his second double win of the season, backing up his Spanish spree with Greek glory. The Frenchman was fastest through 6 of the first 7 specials, amassing a lead which he never looked like surrendering. A subdued 8th position for Matti Sestala, not to mention his injury worries may have ended his championship challenge in the super competitive E3 class.
Philips va rouler très vite.
Phillips rode really fast, so I knew if I wanted to win, I had to start strong from the first special.
Que je commence fort dès la première spéciale.
Here it's the line that makes the difference. I had a good line, and after that I had a good cross test. Started to take a psychological advantage and managed to carry on to the finish like that.
J'ai commencé à prendre l'avantage psychologique et voilà. Du coup, je suis arrivé à aller au bout comme ça et j'ai gagné.
It's good for my morale, good for the championship, and for all of the people who support me. I'm very happy.
Je suis très content.
Matthew Phillips drops 10 points further back in his quest to retain the title as E3 develops into a 2-horse race. 3 double winners and 2 championship deficits closed as the title race heads to Italy with just 3 rounds remaining.